Hello everyone, this is Goomba here. On my two recently published videos, I've been getting a lot of comments, and also a lot of the Discord DMs asking how to set up RPCS3 with LittleBigPlanet to connect to Lighthouse/Beacon, which is the custom server provided by LBPUNION. And considering that all the previously released tutorials regarding setting up the custom servers on LBP on RPCS3 are pretty much outdated at this point, because they're using old methods, which, while they might still work, there's a lot simpler process. So if you want to set it up, then I suggest you keep watching this video. And now we're gonna move on to setting up everything. This is going to cover everything from downloading and installing RPCS3, setting up your game, and configuring the game so it will successfully connect to the Lighthouse server. So let's just get on with the video. So first things first, what you obviously need to do, if you haven't downloaded already, we are obviously going to need the PS3 emulator itself, RPCS3. So we're gonna go over to our browser, type in rpcs3.net. Every link that I'm gonna mention in this video are gonna be put down in the description. So now we're on the RPCS3 main page. We hit download. And we have the option to choose. If you have a Windows OS, you can download the Windows OS version, or Linux or Mac OS. We obviously are on Windows right now, so we're gonna hit download on Windows. This is going to download the .7z file, which we will be able to extract using a 7zip file manager. Now you can unpack it anywhere. Let's, for example, create our own folder, RPCS3 -test, whatever, and you go ahead and extract all the files to any folder you choose from, as long as you have read and write access to it. Once that is done, you can launch RPCS3. We hit that you have read the quick start guide, and then we hit continue, and there we have RPCS3 running. Now the second thing is we obviously need to install our firmware. So we go ahead and go to PS3 firmware update page that is on Sony's official website. And when you are on a page, also this is going to be put in the description. We go ahead and choose update using your computer, and then we hit download PS3 update. This is going to download a PUP file. Also, kind of quick tip, if you have trouble downloading stuff on the internet, you just copy the link and then hit enter to open the link to download directly. So as you can see, we are downloading PS3 update.pup. That is the firmware that we're going to install. And once that is downloaded, here it is. Now we drag and drop the PUP file onto the RPCS3. It's going to ask if you want to install a firmware. Here we click yes. And there we have it. We have successfully installed PS3 firmware. And it's going to compile the system's CPU modules so it can run our games down the line. Now the next part is to get a copy of LittleBigPlanet game. Any LittleBigPlanet game from the series, aside from say LittleBigPlanet Karting or Sackboy's Prehistoric Moves, supports the custom server. So that will be either LittleBigPlanet 1, 2 or 3. If you have a disc version of the game, you'll have to dump it either using one of the compatible Blu-ray drives on your PC, or just to dump it from your PS3. Same thing applies to PSN download of LittleBigPlanet. You'd have to dump it off of your PS3, including the .rap file, which is the license file that you get by downloading the game from your official PSN account on your PS3. Now this part is not going to be covered in this video because it's going to be too lengthy of a process, but I will put down some of the videos regarding dumping your games and setting them up on RPCS3. So if you want to do that, just open up the YouTube videos from my description and you should be all set. Now the next part is going to be a few things that you will need to keep in mind and make sure that you have when it comes to connecting your LittleBigPlanet instance to Lighthouse/Beacon custom servers. Now first things first, you will need to have an up-to-date version of any LittleBigPlanet game. That will be either LittleBigPlanet 1 having version 1.30, for LittleBigPlanet 2 that will be version 1.33, and for LittleBigPlanet 3 that will be version 1.26. As you can see, if you look down below the version column, I have LittleBigPlanet 2 digital version installed, that has the version 1.33. So that means this is the game that is installed up to date. So in case if you don't have the game that has the latest version installed, it will most likely say in parentheses that there's an update available. So in the case if you have that, what you can do is to go to RPCS3's official Discord. Once again, I'm gonna put the invite link to the Discord server down in the description. So once you join the RPCS3 Discord, you can go ahead and go to the bot spam channel, where we can type in the command !PSN check updates, and after that we're gonna type in the game serial. So the game serial, if you go to the RPCS3 main window of your game installed RPCS3, under serial column you're gonna see your game serial. For my case it's NPUA 80662, so we're gonna type in that NPUA 80662. So we hit enter, and it's going to list all of the updates for the game that you will have to install. You're basically going to need to download all the updates, starting from the very next version, or from the game version that you already have installed. So in the case if you have the game version 1.11 installed, you're gonna go ahead and download every single version after 1.11, so it's going to be 1.12 onward. So once you have all those updates downloaded, you can also drag and drop the update, and it will ask here to install, to confirm that you want to install the update. Now, since I already have the update installed, I can just simply boot up the game. But before we do that, we need to also set up your RPCN account. So basically what your RPCN account is the RPCS3's equivalent of PlayStation Network. So in order to set up your RPCN account, you're gonna go ahead and click configuration on top. You scroll down here to click RPCN. You go ahead and click RPCN, and you're going to click create account. Now you can type in a username of whichever account you want to create. So for the sake of making this video, I'm making my username Kubak aka Goomba, and you're gonna have to type in the password, and then you have to insert your email address. So this is obviously going to double check if you have inserted your data correctly. Is this correct? You're gonna go ahead and click yes. Now that the account has been set up successfully, it's gonna send an email towards the email address that you typed in. And there it is, we have it right here. So we're gonna go ahead and copy and paste it and click OK. And there it is. It says right here that we have successfully created an account. So if you wanna test whether your account is valid, we can go ahead and click test account. As you can see, it does say your account is valid. So now that you have your RPCN account set up, you need to enable the Beacon custom server patch, which is available on RPCS3. So in order to do that, you're going to need to right click your LittleBigPlanet instance, click manage game patches. So the RPCS3 is going to ask whether you want to update the patches. We're gonna go ahead and click yes. It says right here that your patch file is now up to date. We click OK. Now we expand the game that we have selected. We click the latest version of the game, and we want to make sure that we check Beacon custom server patch. We click apply and save, and there is our patch set up. Now also we need to make sure that our game can connect to our PC and services and the custom servers. So you're gonna have to right click the game and then create custom configuration. We're gonna head and click that. The most important thing here is to set up the settings from the network tab right here. We're gonna go ahead and select network status to connected, and then PSN status on the right. We're gonna go ahead and select RPCN. DNS, the default will be fine. 1.1.1.5 is also fine. The rest settings are fine. And this is the most important thing. If you have this set up, you're good to go. You can launch the game. Now optionally, you can also change other settings that we want to make sure that we have optimal experience with LittleBigPlanet games. You want to make sure that the SPU exfloat accuracy is set to either approximate or accurate exfloat. You don't want this relaxed exfloat setting enabled, simply because it's going to break physics. You want to make sure that you also set preferred SPU threads Basically what it allows is to mitigate some of the FPS drops on certain things such as collecting bubbles. On my primary PC I have AMD Ryzen which has 8 cores 16 threads, so I can safely set it to 6. But in the case of this video I'm using an Intel CPU which has 4 cores 8 threads, so reducing it to 3 or 4 would be ideal in this scenario. I'm just gonna keep it at 4, and you can also go ahead and go to the GPU tab. And in the GPU tab, you want to make sure that the frame limit is set either to auto or off to make sure that the game is running at a constant 30 FPS. And we also want to make sure that Z-core accuracy is set to relax. This is going to provide faster performance. Use Fidelity FX Super Resolution, which is basically FSR, to upscale visually some of the things in game. On the right, you want to make sure that the right color buffers is enabled. Otherwise, you're gonna get some broken graphics in the game. This is the most important stuff. If you have that enabled, you're gonna go ahead and hit apply and save custom configuration. And now that you have it set it up, you are pretty much good to go and you can now run the game. The first time you start up the game, it's going to compile the CPU. Depending on your CPU and overall PC spec, it can take ranging from like 10 minutes to like 15 or up to most to like 20 minutes. Since I already had the game compiled, it goes straight into building SPO cache, and now we're getting into the game. Now you want to also make sure that it says right here that we successfully logged on RPCN. If that happens, that means you have successfully connected to RPCN. Now, as you can see, if you have successfully connected to the servers, it's gonna display the LittleBigPlanet EULA right here. So we're gonna go ahead and hit accept, and we have the announcement here. And as you can see, it does say welcome Kubak aka Goomba. So we have successfully connected. We hit OK, and we should hopefully see that we are in fact connected to the servers. Yeah, sometimes for the reason this bug occurs, so all you really need to do is to just restart the game. So we can now go to the community and go to Vpix. As you can see, everything seems to be working. So this is how you connect to Beacon custom servers. If you have accepted EULA and went through the announcement page and successfully connected, but you're still unable to go through stuff like community and other online features, well, that just simply means you haven't completed DaVinci's hideout on LittleBigPlanet 2, or in the case of LittleBigPlanet 1, you haven't completed the gardens. So in the case of LittleBigPlanet 2, you have to make sure that you complete all those levels that you see, the main ones. These are 5 of them. So if you complete that, the rest of the buttons will unlock. And now there's also one more thing that is completely optional, but there is a way to log in to the beacon using the website beacon.lbpunion.com, and in order to actually be able to log in using your existing RPCN account, you're going to need to register your account using the text chat within the game. So you're gonna have to go ahead and hit square to go to Puppet, then choose text chat, and from here we're gonna type in /set email, your email address. And once you type it in the game, after a while you should receive an email containing the registration process. As you can see, we have received an email from the beacon, and we have it right here. This is the Project Lighthouse email verification. In order to verify our account, we're gonna go ahead and click the link, and it's gonna ask us to set a password, which we are gonna go ahead and do that. Once we have that set, we have access to beacon.lbpunion.com, and this is the website which basically acts as lpp.me, if you remember back in the day when it was still functioning. So you can browse levels, you can see if certain levels exist. For example, if you want to look for Ransack, you have it right here, and you can just go ahead and like one of the versions and queue, so we can queue it up, and you should be able to see it in the game. So if you just go ahead and get back to the game, community, seems like it's not automatic, so we're just gonna go ahead and do that. As you can see, we have added this level to our favorites. There's all kinds of other things you can do using Beacon website. For example, you can go to your profile and you can set up your avatar, going to the settings. You can upload basically any avatar you can basically think of. Now, The last part is going to cover online multiplayer. So when it comes to online multiplayer, it's still at the early stage. The online multiplayer sort of works, but there's very strict limitations to how and who you're gonna be able to connect. Basically, right now there's this one bug in LittleBigPlanet where you just simply cannot connect to any people across different CPU brands. So for example, if you have a game running on AMD CPU, then you're not gonna be able to join others which have the game running on an Intel CPU, and same vice versa. Right now we are on a Intel CPU, so basically I'm able to connect to any people running on an Intel. So we're gonna go ahead and try that. The most reliable way of actually playing with others is to try and arrange a level. There's a few bunch of like meetup room levels that you can find. We're just gonna go ahead and find the level which is specifically for Intel meetup room, and we're gonna select Intel CPUs. We're gonna go into the level. The best way to actually get some people in is to invite the people either from LBPUNION's Discord or whoever into the level. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that. Okay. And here it is. As you can see, we have actually managed to connect to the other person. So we're gonna follow this guy in the pod. Hopefully I'm not gonna diverge. Also, once again, on the big disclaimer, the multiplayer is unstable. Even though I have surprisingly been able to follow him back to pod, at any given point the game will still diverge. So this is overall how to set up Lighthouse/Beacon custom servers on LittleBigPlanet on RPCS3. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully this made it a lot easier for you to connect to the custom servers. Comment down below if you have some more issues when it comes to like connecting. I'll try to answer all the questions in the comment section down below. But that's gonna be for me for now. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and we'll see you in the next videos. See ya!